Oh, jeez. So today I wanted to talk to you about money, and specifically how to make money with video. Now I know we don't really talk about that subject all too often on this channel because, well, this channel really is about filmmaking tips, camera gear reviews, and behind the scene vlogs really, but I think it's important to talk about and share my experiences because, well, this is my livelihood. I mean, I survive by making video. And what's crazy is that after doing my taxes, I found out that I made about $100,000 on YouTube last year. Now that's not a flex at all. I was genuinely surprised. I didn't realize I made that much. And to clarify, that's not just YouTube alone. That also includes sponsorships, brand deals, digital products that I've sold, client work, all of that. I've made $100,000 on my side hustle, so to speak, because I still work a full-time job. And so I'm gonna do my best to break down how I make money with video, from YouTube to sponsorships, to selling digital products, to working with clients, and to even selling old gear. And speaking of which, this episode is sponsored by Gear Focus. We're gonna talk about them in a second, but it's a pretty awesome place to sell used gear and also buy used gear. So definitely better than going through Facebook and Craigslist. But again, we'll talk about them in a second. So the first thing that I just wanna get out the way is that everyone is different. Everyone prices themselves differently. Different industries have different rates, and so everyone is different. What I'm about to talk about is just from my own personal experience, and so just take it for what it is. So the first way that I make money with video is, of course, YouTube. I make a video, I upload it to YouTube, people watch that video, and the more people watch it and the more views I get and all that stuff, YouTube then sends a check to me once a month on AdSense earnings based on the performance of my YouTube channel for that month. I'm not gonna go into the specific numbers because it just fluctuates every single month. Sometimes I make 500, sometimes I make 1,500, sometimes I make 2,000. It's all different, it's all over the place, but it's essentially like TV. When people watch reruns of episodes, the creators and people involved in that specific TV show gets a cut, a residual. And that happens every single time an episode runs on air. Same thing with YouTube videos. And since videos just stay on the platform like forever, I generate income not just from the videos that I make currently, but from the videos that I've made years ago. Now, some older videos make $2, $3 a month, $5 a month, $20 a month. But when you add those numbers together, then the figures end up becoming quite a lot. So in a nutshell, that's how I make money on YouTube. Now, the second way I make money with video, and I guess it kind of goes in line with YouTube, is through sponsorships and brand deals. Now, just like YouTube videos, brand deals and sponsorships are different and can vary, all the way from a free product to review on your YouTube channel to making an integrated video, which is basically the segment where the content creator talks about the certain product or brand for like the first 2 minutes of a video. That can vary greatly, anywhere from $200 for an integrated post to up to $2,000, even more, just to talk about the brand for about a couple minutes. So you can make some pretty decent money by just doing integrated videos. Then you have dedicated videos where your entire video is based about a certain product or service. And that can range wildly, anywhere from, I don't know, $1,000 to $5,000 to even like $10,000, sometimes more, believe me. But all of that, again, is gonna be different based on the creative scope, how much your rate is for an integration or a dedicated video, and how much the budget is for that specific campaign. But that's the second way that I make money with video. The third way that I make money with video is by selling digital products. Now, I know that's not really using video to make money, but I use YouTube as a platform to promote myself and the products that I sell. Now, on my store, I sell digital products like LUTs, Lightroom presets, and pretty soon, project templates for Premiere Pro. That's right. But that's a very easy way to make money because you can just put your products in your digital store. You don't have to worry about inventory running out because it's, well, digital. Sometimes I make $0 a month, sometimes I make $50 a month, and sometimes I make a couple thousand a month. Again, it all varies, but still a very, very easy way to make money. Ooh, speaking of which, I just made a sale. Aw, thank you, Christopher. Oh, there you go, made 20 bucks right there. Use that money to fix whatever I broke. Now, as a filmmaker and photographer, I acquire quite a lot of gear, but you know, I usually stick to my hero gear, my essential camera gear that I usually bring with me on every shoot, and I don't really use all the gear that I have. And so the gear that I don't really use, I often just sell because I just don't need it. And there's a really cool platform that I love selling my gear on, and that is Gear Focus. So Gear Focus is an online marketplace to buy and sell used gear. Once you've set up your account with Gear Focus, you can simply start selling. Make sure to take photos of the product that you want to sell, which honestly I think is the hardest part about the whole thing. And once you're done, upload those photos to the Gear Focus website, write down the exact gear that you want to sell, the description, how much you want to sell it for, where you're able to sell it to. And once all the info is there, there, your gear is listed to sell. All in all, it was super easy to set up. In fact, a couple days after I set up my profile with Gear Focus, I already sold one of my used gear. It was super easy. If you are a buyer, you can message the seller. You can ask them things like, hey, why are you selling it? Are there any scuffs, marks, all that stuff? And obviously the quality of the gear is gonna be dependent on the seller, but if you're buying from my shop, then you can rest assured that all the gear that you would buy is just top-notch quality. It'll be like new condition if you're buying from me. And so just a little plug over there for my shop. But yeah, literally within 2 days after setting up a profile, I sold a backpack to a guy named Brandon, and it was just super easy, super chill. He obviously follows me on Twitter because I promoted it on Twitter for the first time, but it's a really good and safe place to sell and buy used gear. And if there are creators that you like and trust and they sell gear on their shop, then you know that you can trust them because they take care of their gear. But a super easy process and definitely much safer than when you're selling or buying gear on Facebook or Craigslist, because that can get creepy. But wait a minute, Sid, there's eBay. I can just sell my gear on eBay. Yes, that's true, but eBay charges you a 10% processing fee, where Gear Focus only charges you 3.5%, so do the math. But honestly, it is such a great platform if you do want to sell used gear or buy used gear. And also, you can get a refund if you don't like the product, and so there's that. So if you want to check out Gear Focus, then make sure to click the link in the description below. And thanks, Gear Focus, for sponsoring this episode. Okay, let's see. We talked about YouTube AdSense, we talked about sponsorships and brand deals, digital products, and client work. Client work, client work, client work. Client work. I say that because for those of you that have done client work, know what I'm talking about. Okay, so I'm gonna go into this a little bit deeper because I think a lot of people underprice themselves, especially when it comes to client work. I don't. I've done that before when I first started out and never again. And so let's get into it. So when it comes to client work, I know that can be very intimidating because you're running a business, and when a client's asking for an estimate, it's like, well, maybe $100, maybe $500. First of all, you can't be timid like that. When you approach a client, you have to approach them with confidence. Now, when it comes to pricing with clients, that's gonna depend on the creative scope. And so say, for example, a coffee shop just wants one Instagram video, an Instagram story video, that project is gonna cost much less than making an actual integrated video on YouTube. There's gonna be a lot more work required to making this dedicated video, and not to mention the actual produced minutes that this client is going to get from the video that you make. So you have a 15-second video versus a 5 to 10 minute video. Obviously, this video is gonna make a lot more money. Okay, so let's get to the numbers. Okay, so videos can cost anywhere from $200 all the way up to $50,000, if not more, again, depending on the creative scope. And you're probably thinking, whoa, that's a big range. And yeah, there's a lot of things that you can make with video. There's a lot of different industries that want certain videos. But again, all goes back to the creative scope of the project. Now, I know that's like a big range. I mean, you have $200, you have $50,000. It's like what exactly are the numbers? Here is a rule of thumb that really helps me. If you want to charge a client, here's what you do. Charge $1,000 per produced minute. And that should give you a rough estimate of how much that production is gonna cost. So for example, if a client's asking for a 3 to 5 minute video, let's just say a 3-minute video, then that project is gonna cost $3,000, roughly. Now, some of you may be like, whoa, sweet, that's how I make money. All right, here we go, gonna buy some gear. Hold on, nope, don't do that, stop. There's a lot of factors that go into that, and so let's just break it down. Let's break down why a 3-minute video is gonna cost $3,000. Okay, let's see, let's use my Asian math skills. Okay, all right, bring them back to high school, algebra, A plus B equals C. Got it. All right, so $3,000, you're happy with it. Good money, decent money, but let's go ahead and break down the costs. So first of all, you wanna figure out your day rate, how much you wanna earn for a full days of work. But let's just say $50 an hour is what you wanna pay yourself for 8 hours of work. So that's $400. $400 is your day rate, which by the way is low. It's really low. You wanna go for anywhere between $500 to $750. That's about average for a day rate for a filmmaker. So $50 an hour is your rate, and your day rate is $400. Not too shabby, right? We'll see. Now you finish your full day of filming, and now comes editing. Typically what I like to do is multiply that day rate by 3, because it usually takes me about 3 days of consecutive hours to finish a project. And so let's just go ahead and multiply your day rate by 3. So you have $400 per day times 3, that's $1,200. Ooh, $1,200, okay, very cool, very cool. Okay, so you have $1,200, that's great, but wait a minute, that's not $3,000. This is where it's gonna get really interesting. So $3,000 was your estimate for your clients, okay? So let's deduct $1,200 for your services for filming and editing. Okay, great. Next, you gotta subtract the taxes. That's right, in the US, and I'm sure most parts of the world, you gotta pay taxes on the income that you earn. So when it comes to taxes, a good rule of thumb is to deduct 25% of the total cost of a project. I know it sucks, but it's the right thing to do, and everyone has to pay taxes. That's the way it is. So $3,000, what's 25% of $3,000? That is $750. Uh-oh, here we go, $750. All right, so we have $3,000. Let's go ahead and deduct our services for filming and editing, which was $1,200. Let's deduct our taxes, which is $750. Okay, I have about over $1,000 left. That seems like a pretty good profit, right? Gear. What about gear? You might not have all the gear needed to film a certain project. You might have to rent gear. And so typically you just wanna put down $500 for gear rental, give or take a few dollars, and say that you need an assistant to hire because it's always better to have multiple people help you film a project. And so let's just say one assistant, okay? And you wanna pay him or her $150 for the day. That's great. Okay, so $400 profit, that's pretty good, right? Well, and now you have overhead, which is basically the cost it takes to help you run your business. So in this instance, it's things like electricity, the internet, rent. You might have to rent out a place, whether it's a co-working space or an actual business office. Whatever the case may be, you're gonna have some overhead. And so let's just say 150 is another cost for overhead. Okay, so now you're down to 250. Well, what about music? You can't just use copywritten music for your clients. You have to provide your clients with licensed music so that they can use that video to put on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. And if you give them music that's not licensed, then that video could be taken down and then your client will be really angry with you. And so you need to give them licensed music. And so let's just say it's gonna cost another $150. By the way, that's a really, really, really low number. One time I had to charge a client $17,000 for a 30-second spot because they wanted that video to be played in parts of LA, San Francisco for like 6 months of the year, just for music licensing fees. Woo, it adds up. So now you're left with $100. Oh, wow, okay. Well, what about business insurance? You gotta have insurance for your gear, because if you drop your lens and your camera, your whole setup breaks, and you don't have insurance, then it's gonna cost you a lot more money. And so you gotta have some sort of insurance. And so that just goes out the window. So minus $100, it'll probably cost you a lot more than that. So now you're left with $0, but let's see, what about contingency fees, which is basically just money for backup. Let's say, for example, that the location that you wanted to shoot in just doesn't work out and you have to quickly rent out another space so that you can film whatever you need to film. Well, they're gonna charge you like maybe $500 for the whole day, but you can't go to that place because you've already run out of money, or you have to let go of your assistant and say, sorry, I can't pay you, bye. Not to mention food, you gotta have food, and just a bunch of other factors. And so these numbers vary. Basically, just from my experience alone, this is a median estimate of what a project should cost. And now you can see why a 3-minute project should cost $3,000, if not more. Because one thing that a lot of clients like to do is that they like to give a lot of notes. It may take you 3 days to finish an edit, but with the clients that I've worked in the past, they can go for a much longer than that because they want revision after revision after revision. And in your contract, you should probably just give them a limit of how many revisions that they have. But at the end of the day, they are the clients, and if they pay good money, then you kind of want their business again and referrals from them. And so it takes a lot of work. It's draining on yourself mentally, emotionally, and physically. And so that's why video costs this much. So that's how I break down giving an estimate to a client using the rule of thumb, $1,000 per produced minute. Now, also keep in mind, you are running a business, and so what you want to aim for is for a 50% profit. You don't just want to break even, because you wouldn't be running a business if you broke even every single time. You want to be able to make a profit so that you can pay yourself and also invest back into your business so that you can grow it. You got to buy gear, maybe get a bigger office space, whatever it is. The goal is to grow your business. And in order to do that, you have to make a profit. And so try your best to aim for a 50% profit. And that is how I work with clients. And $3,000 might sound a lot to some of you. And I get that, I totally get that. But I've been doing this for like over 15 years. And so I know my worth, I know my value. I know what it takes to make a great video and to make a client happy. And with that knowledge and experience, I'm comfortable with my specific day rate and how much I charge my clients. But the one thing that you have to keep in mind when you are charging clients is that they're not just paying for your time, but they're paying for your experience as well. If a client wants a 3-minute video and only wants to pay $50, then that client is going to get a $50 video. But if the client is willing to pay $3,000 to $5,000 for a 3-minute video, then they're going to get a $5,000 video. Again, everyone's different. I'm very comfortable and confident with who I am and my value and self-worth. So I'm gonna charge what I feel is gonna be worth my time. But again, rule of thumb, these are just numbers based on my own experience. And so just you do you. You do you. All right, guys, well, that's it for this video. Hopefully that was helpful to you, and hopefully it shed some light on how to make money with video. And also, I've got a resource guide that you can download talking about this very thing, how to make money with video, as well as a couple of templates that you can simply copy and paste to reach out to clients. I put a lot of effort into this guide, and so hopefully that'll be a good resource for you. All right, guys, well, that's it for me. If you like this video, then thumbs up, subscribe to the bell buttons down below, and I will see you on the next one.